You ever have that moment where you get done playing a game and you think, man, I wish that hadn't happened?
The games we're going to tell you about today are games that we wish we had never played. Please remember there's a little bit of sarcasm in some of these, but these are games that, we could have probably done without.
To kick things off, I'm actually going to start with a game that I love.
Yeah.
And
plot twist.
Yeah, the reason I regret playing it is because I can't play the normal one anymore because it's made my patience so low. And that's Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition.
That's a good point.
I know that the base game has some more features and there's a little more strategy at parts, but to me, it's enough of the same experience that I'd love to have that in an hour or less or as a co-op experience rather than 2 to 3 hours. So it's kind of ruined me where I'm like, oh, the normal one, I don't really want to go back to it.
Yeah, I don't think you're alone in saying that. I think there are a lot of people who kind of feel like, oh, it's so much shorter. So.
I'm really glad I don't own the original because I would have that buyer's remorse.
Yeah. My number 5 is going to immediately get hate from you, but that's okay. And that is the original Seven Wonders. And I know we don't agree on this game, and that's fine. I just was very less than amazed by it. But I love Seven Wonders Duel. So I wish in my head I would have always been like, man, I wish I could play that, the one with 2 for 3 or more players, because I'd probably love that too. I don't love it. Not saying it's horrible. I get it does work for 7 players, and also it works for 7 players.
Let's flip the script. My number 4 is a game I don't like.
Okay.
This is a game called Time Stories. And you know what? When I heard about Time Stories, when it was new and all the rage...
Yeah.
It sounded amazing. I was like, it's like the exact kind of adventure game I would like. It's got like a legacy element to it with some continuing parts. It's going to be modular. You're going to be able to get a lot of expansions and different stories. It's not a good game. And I would have rather have lived in like the I wish I could play that game rather than I borrowed it from a friend and we played it. And now I'm just like, I don't like it at all.
Yeah, there are a few games like that for me. It's coming up in the list later. Like, I just wish I could have kept that perfect image in my head of the game and not actually found out it's not true.
Yeah.
No, I've never played it because of your recommendation, but maybe I would love it.
If you could change the rules, coming soon.
My next up game is very specific. It's Ticket to Ride, but it's not the base game. I'm happy I played the base game. There are many Days of Wonder reiterations of Ticket to Ride, but I had not...
I hadn't heard.
No. There's a couple. And I had always heard people complain about they're almost always the same game. And I just had never tried any of them. I'd only played the base game. I tried the junior one, but I'd only basically played the base game. I hadn't tried all the other maps. And I thought, well, it could be kind of cool to experience in different maps. And I've heard they changed some mechanics. I'd only heard these things. I never actually tried one. So I went out and tried a couple of them recently thinking like, I want to prove everyone wrong and show there's value in these. And I was like, I'd have to really like that base game. Because it's just a different map. It's very similar. Maybe just one little tweak on. So I kind of had liked the idea of all the different maps out there more than when I actually played it. And maybe you're more thematic than me, and that's fine. Maybe you're like, oh, we're in Germany now, and it looks different. And I just kind of see the grid and the colors and what I need to do and what I need to connect. And I guess I don't personally feel like I'm actually in Phoenix, Arizona, or Stuttgart, Germany. I actually don't know if that's on the map, but it could be. I don't feel like I'm in those cities. I just kind of try to connect my routes. So it doesn't mean a whole lot to me, but I thought it was cooler than I actually played. I was like, okay, it's Ticket to Ride.
My number 3 is not necessarily a game, but actually an expansion to the game that hurt the image of the game for myself. And that is the Carcassonne expansions in general. Some Carcassonne expansions I'm really fond of. The Big Meeple one I think is almost essential to the game now. And I actually may ship with it these days.
Okay.
That one, absolutely love. The problem is actually not a specific expansion. Some of them are meh. It's that when you add expansions, they increase the playtime. And because you need certain tiles for the randomness to work out, it's not like you can just say, well, let's randomly take 30 without severely throwing off the balance of the game. So if you have the expansions mixed in, then you're going to be playing for an hour now. And Carcassonne's not like an hour kind of game. So I think I have 3, but I've actually taken 2 of them back out. I just have one of them mixed in because I don't like the playtime. It makes the game significantly worse. So I just wish I had never really seen them. Most of them don't add an interesting element. The Big Meeple, super interesting. And probably like playing Priest on the chapels is like an interesting one. Other than that, most of the expansions, not worth it.
I have a great Carcassonne story. I first played Carcassonne, and I didn't know there were expansions mixed in. And there are certain shaped tiles for the castles that close different things. I had a castle that needed one specific tile that I think was straight. It had the little one on this side, which I don't think is in the base game. I didn't know. I thought it was because I played only the expansion, not knowing I played an expansion. This is the issue with all the expansions. And I needed that tile, and I was holding out, and I was holding out. And we got like near the end of the game, and all of a sudden the last tile was mine. And I was like, I've done it! And I flipped it, and it was just like a road. And I was like, but that tile doesn't exist. And it's like, no, it's an expansion tile. I spent like 20 minutes trying for this tile. It didn't even exist.
I'm so sorry. That was probably my fault for making you play the expansions.
I didn't know. I didn't know it was expansion. So yeah. My number 3 is a game that I actually really enjoyed. It's by far my favorite game on the list, and that's Star Wars Rebellion. Whoa. 2-player only game, which you need to play at some point in our lives. And the only reason I would play this game again is because Joel needs to play, and I'd try to teach it to him. It's so cool. One of you are the rebels trying to hide your rebel base. The Empire's dominating the galaxy. It's kind of like a war map out there. There's a lot of deception. There's how you use your commanders. You can use commanders for special missions. The Empire's like, do I block your commanders who are attacking me for special missions? If I do, I don't have any commanders to move my fleet around the board. But it's like 3 or 4. First time maybe 5 hours long, and it's extremely strategic. Like if you play someone who doesn't like strategy games, first of all, they won't like being there for 4 hours. You probably just crush them. No, it's extremely complicated. And if we played it together, the first time through would not be fun. Because we had to play it one time where I play really nice, because I know how the game works already, kind of the end goal. I would just beat you the first time. So I'd play really nice, and to play it again to get the full experience, and I'm just not that committed to a game. That's a long game. So I wish I just didn't know about it. Like I get excited, and I was like, oh, we should play Rebellion. Then I'm like, well, we need to play it twice. So we really need about like 8 hours to do this. I can teach you the game, play it, and play it again. So it's a really cool game though. And if you have that free time in your life to play it, it's awesome if you like really heavy games. It's just for me, I don't have that situation where I'm not going to get to the table. So I'm like, oh, that's a really awesome game. I've never experienced anything like that game. I probably never will again.
There. I'm going to keep it going here and pick on one more expansion on my list. And this is an expansion that it was because it came at such an emotional high of loving this game and like especially being surprised. This game's better than I thought. And then I got to the expansion content and I was like, oh, I don't like this game. It's Harry Potter's Hogwarts Battles, the Monster Box of Monsters. That's the name.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So the Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle game is an awesome deck builder. I came off of the base game playing the 7 missions straight through and like, this is sick. This is a really good deck builder, like pretty hyped about it. And then like got this expansion content for it. Man, they really miscalculated. Not only are the expansion characters just not interesting or fun to play, the Patronuses are fine, but really what gets you is they add all this poison into your deck. But the problem is the game already has enough cards that you need to be trashing your weaker cards by the end of the game, that you don't need more stupid cards. And it just makes you feel like you're less effective. It doesn't really like make the game significantly harder, but it just makes your turns frustrating because you start feeling like, I'm just less effective because I drew 3 detentions this turn. And it just, to me, really soiled the experience. I probably hate the detentions more than I reasonably should, but I think it's pretty frustrating to me to like play a deck builder. It's like, I got 2 cards this turn because I drew 3 of the crappy ones, and like I didn't get a card to trash it, so that's gonna happen again sometime, and like just stuck.
Yeah, you'd rather the bad guys be harder rather than your hand be worse.
Yeah, the game could just increase the challenge in another way, and taking away my ability to do things is a frustrating way to increase difficulty, in my opinion.
My number 2 is a sequel game to a game that I really liked. When I played this base game, fascinating game. I loved it, and you liked it too. The original game was Above and Below, which is a really cool blend of just kind of a Euro game where you're trying to get some resources. It has a cool way endgame score works, but the real fun part is you can go down below into the, not dungeons, the caves, I guess, exploring, and you do little narrative things. And then people say, but there's the sequel, Near and Far, becomes even more heavily narrative based and everything because the missions are specific to the map you're on. And mechanically, though, at least for me, it's this huge drop off. I don't know. I thought the base game was like pretty good, solid Euro with really fun narrative elements. And the Near and Far just kind of felt like I shouldn't say base game, the original game. Then the second game, Near and Far, felt like a huge mechanical hit because you're like, I guess I'll do this thing and then this thing. And okay, let's just go read some stories and so on. And you read a few stories and the map is over.
Yeah.
You feel like you just started reading stories and it ends so quickly.
I distinctly remember that the first time we played, you ended the game and I was like, oh, okay. And then the story, the way it was like piecemealed in, I didn't like it as much as Above and Below.
Maybe if you just super love the world it creates, maybe it's a stronger world building, maybe you would like it more.
Alrighty, right before we get to number one, we want to share with you a few of our honorable mentions. I got two for you. The first one is Pendulum.
Yeah.
This is a weird one. It mostly didn't make the list because I didn't know that it would be super exciting to talk about because it was just a bore. Now, the other one is on the list for a completely different reason, and that is that about a year ago, we got to play Ark Nova. And it just sits on my shelf taunting me. I don't have anyone in my life to play it with but you. So the opportunities to play it, we've played it once, and all I think about, I see that
It's
box
so
and I'm
fun.
like, I want to play Ark Nova so bad.
It's so fun.
Such a great
Did you bring
game.
it?
No. We're working here.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. All right, for my honorable mentions, I simply have the deck builder Fort. Fort was fun. It's one of these things I had a good experience with. It's complicated enough that you just can't teach anyone have fun in 2 minutes. You have to kind of get into it, maybe a play or two before people like it. And it's not a good enough game, though, for me to convince people, hey, it's worth the commitment. Play a few games. I'd almost always rather play something else. So it kind of sits on my shelf, kind of like you were saying. I'm like, oh, that would be really fun.
Alrighty, now the moment you've all been waiting for. This is a little bit of a redemption moment for me.
Oh, okay.
Alright.
In for a story?
Yes.
Okay.
I have received some hate in the comments
Oh.
of these videos because I've gone after a certain game,
Okay.
called it not very good, complained about my experience playing this game, and I wish I had never played it. This is a game called Blood Rage.
And here we
Now,
are again.
I'm not going to diss Blood Rage. I wish I had never played it because I had such a miserable experience, partially due to factors outside of the game itself. To be fair, such a miserable experience that I feel very strongly that I don't like this game. But I feel like I've alienated myself from a community that could be really nice. I mean, you guys left really nice comments, and so, I just feel like I could have been part of something, or at least admired it from afar for its nice box art and cool Viking thing. But now...
Like I do. Like I never played it, so I can't get hate for not liking things. I don't know if I like it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I feel like I could have just been in that, because I know it's not the kind of game I'm going to like. So, like, I could have just been in a farm and be like, that's cool that people are into that. But now I've made myself an enemy. And I'm sorry. I just want to be part of it. Please forgive me.
So you're saying it's a good game?
I'm saying I wish I had never played it so I wouldn't have known.
My number one is super specific. This is the game Tokaido, which is a really weird one for this list because a lot of things I like about Tokaido. But the reason I wish I'd never played it, people describe this game, I've always heard it described the same way. This game is more of an aesthetic game. You have to be in the right mind space. You can't be playing it too aggressively. You can't be doing this stuff in Tokaido that's mean to people. And that's how it's always been described to me. And I've always heard people say, well, some people just don't really get it. They're just like too aggressive. They're too mean. They don't get what it's about. They don't get the heart of the game. And so when I played it, I was like in this headspace already, just kind of experience it. And I was like, I need coins. And that's the only spot that gives me coins. If I don't go there, you're forced to go there. I guess I'm one of the bad guys. And I was like, okay, like, it's one of these.
How can you not get it?
I didn't get it. And I'm not saying I don't get that. I love the aesthetic. I thought that was really cool. And I can seriously play the game and not care whether I win or lose. But I can't play the game and forget the math on whether what I'm doing will help me win or lose. I can intentionally do bad stuff just for fun. It doesn't bother me. But I can't just make my mind not realize the fact that if I don't go there, I will never finish this picture. And you will, which will make you win. I can't just not see that. So I'm like, I feel like you're supposed to just be like, oh, I want to experience the token shop, even though I'll lose if I go there. Oh, I got some cool trinkets that don't help me at all, but I experienced it. Kind of like parks. If you play parks, you can go forward as far as you want to. But if you do, people can get the spots behind you. So the only decision you have, the only decision is pretty much is how far ahead do you want to skip? do you value that spot enough to go there? But then when you do that, because you value spots, someone's going to be like, you took that to not, so I couldn't take it. You're like, it's the only thing we can do in this game is go forward and take things so you can't get it. So
it's the only way we interact is blocking each other.
I'm sorry I blocked you, but that's clearly what the game does. So I wish I just had not played it, because I think in my head I was like, oh, it's probably so serene in that play. And I'm like, it is a little, it's in your face. It's just the only thing you can do is block people. So sorry, Takedo. I think it's great. I would have more fun if we just said, hey, let's play Takedo. We're both trying to win, but just appreciate the beauty of the game while you're trying to win.
Yeah.
Much easier, much simpler.
Both of our number ones apologizing for how we feel.
Yes. We're sorry. Sorry you made a bad game. No.
I'm sorry you have to live a life with no talent. If you got any games that you wish that you had never played for any reason, whether positive or negative, go ahead and leave it down in the comments below, and hopefully we didn't offend anyone out there.
And just remember, for the most part, there is a tinge of sarcasm here. Most of these games, I am actually happy that I experienced, because now I know they're terrible.
Yep. Like Blood Rage.
No!
Crap! Jump right back in that grave.